Hey everyone, Tekking101 here to do Naruto Chapter 550 review, entitled Kato Amatasumi. Please excuse my butchered Japanese translation. So it starts out with the crow again, coming out of Naruto, and yes, it is actually several times larger from what it was last time. And this is funny because Naruto does the same kind of gag that I did last chapter with the, why is there a crow in my mouth? Oh yeah, that's right, he did that, right. But he remembers back when Itachi did that, and Itachi activates what looks like Amaterasu, the eyes bleeding, how that usually works, and even Nagato. But it actually isn't Amaterasu, it's a new technique, and what happens is the crow lands on Naruto's shoulder, and we finally get to see that only one of its eyes has the Mangekyo Sharingan, the other eye is normal. When Itachi actually does activate an Amaterasu, it doesn't hit Naruto, it hits Nagato's summoned dog. And we cut back to Kabuto, who's like shocked by this, because Itachi apparently broke out of the Edo Tensei control. He's still alive, so he's still inflected by the jutsu, but he has his own mind of his own. He can move his body at his own way now. And so then he activates Amaterasu on Nagato and the giant bird, steps down next to Naruto, and he explains what it is. It's a new genjutsu he created that enables him to break free of Edo Tensei. And it was originally meant to protect the Leaf Village from Sasuke. He explains that the eye inside the crow is actually from Shisui Uchiha. Please excuse my butchered Japanese again. He's the guy. He showed up a couple times. He was the one that had Danzo's left eye was his. Danzo stole his left eye. Itachi apparently stole his right eye. Oh wait, no, the other way around. And it was also I remember Kabuto wanted to revive him too. But something happened, like something he couldn't find in his remains, he couldn't revive him, but Kabuto definitely wanted to revive him. And he's apparently the strongest genjutsu user in the Uchiha clan, so he's a really strong dude. And activating the genjutsu brings the Mangekyo and the crow back to normal. And even B knows who Shisui was, so that's how famous he was in the world. Itachi goes on to explain, how he got the eye. Apparently Shisui made it look like he, destroyed both of his eyes and just disappeared. What actually happened was Danzo stole one of his eyes, and Itachi took the other eye and put it in the crow, obviously. And the reason Itachi did this in the first place was, I guess he kind of assumed that after Itachi was killed by Sasuke, that Sasuke might attack the village, so that's why he put it inside Naruto, just on the off chance he would attack the village. And he also goes on to explain that Sasuke was most likely going to transplant Itachi's eyes into himself, so, to create the internal Mangekyo, and that's why he did it. So when Sasuke attacks Konoha, he would most likely have Itachi's Mangekyo. Naruto sees the Mangekyo, Crow comes out and activates the Genjutsu to protect the village. You know what? This was actually a pretty decent plan, except for the whole being revived by a snake-human hybrid and being forced against your will to fight against the person you wanted to save for your hometown. Didn't really plan for that, did you, Itachi? But then B brings up a very interesting point. Why didn't you just use Shisui's eye against Sasuke when you fought him? And he says he couldn't use it, not then, because Shishui's Mangekyo at least requires another decade to activate again. Now, here's the thing I don't get. He couldn't use the eye because it takes a decade to activate. Well, why couldn't you have used it? I don't get that. It wasn't activated then, but it was activated now? That's really not that big of a time frame. From Itachi and Sasuke's fight to right now, that's not even a year. So I don't know, maybe the decade passed somewhere in that little space of time, but that's kind of like a really brief time window there. But, because of that reason, that's the reason he gave, he couldn't have used Shishui's eye back then. Which, doesn't make much sense to me. Maybe you guys can shed some light on it for me. From what he said there, that doesn't make that much sense. I think what that means to me is he said that just so, plot convenience. It's like, well, why didn't you use the eye against Sasuke? Shut up, that's why. That's what basically it seemed like to me. But anyway, then Naruto, of course, has a little heroic speech, like, you've done more than enough for the village, Itachi, just let it to me now. Itachi smiles, he's very grateful to Naruto. Kabuto is, now he wants Shishui's eye, I guess, because now he knows that Itachi has it. And, which I also guess that means that he can either still know where Itachi is with the Edo Tensei Jutsu, because the Edo Tensei Jutsu, it's not completely undone, because if that was the case, then Itachi would just, collapse. So the jutsu's still active, it's just his brainwashing power is over. Cut back to Nagato. he uses Shinra Tensei, he disperses the Amaterasu. He uses Shinra Tensei again, wrecks half the forest, and I would assume that Kabuto, now that he knows that Shishui's eye is there, that he would activate Nagato and like go all out with Nagato and try to take the eye. I think that's what Kabuto's doing. He does his 8 Tails Lariat on Nagato. Nagato activates his Predapath power, which is absorption, absorbs Beast's chakra, and that happens to him a lot. This is like the second time he got absorbed. He has his chakra absorbed, and doing that restores Nagato's youth, I guess. His hair comes black again, comes up to Naruto and activates his human path, which it absorbs his soul, and that's how the chapter ends. Now, I don't know this, because every person that Nagato used his human path on, they die right afterwards. He used it on Shizune, and she died. He used it on a few citizens when they were attacking the village. They all died. And now, it doesn't show him, actually ripping Naruto's soul out, like, completely, but he does show him, like, ripping it out of his body. So, it's still connected to him, though. So, I don't know about that, if something's going to happen next chapter to stop him from that. But, yeah, most likely, Kabuto just decided, oh, okay, I want Shishui's eye. Takes full control of Nagato and just wants the eye now. So, I think that's what Kabuto's doing. I don't know the deal with Itachi. He apparently has free will now, so maybe he can stick around for a while. I don't know how long that's going to last. I don't know if Kabuto can just, like, undo the jutsu on specifically him and just reduce him back to ashes. I don't know how that's going to work. Right, we got to see a lot about the chapter. We got to see what the crow was about. It's kind of a killjoy now, because the crow, it was something that I always, like, wanted to know. Like, it was, like, tucked in the back of my mind. And, like, oh, remember that crow that went to Naruto? I wonder what that's all about. I wonder if I'm ever going to mention that. 2 years later, I found out. So, yeah, good chapter. Tekking101 signing out.